Hello and welcome to the Daily Dose, Awkward Families of the Bible. Now that is a fun title. Today we get to ask the question, what do I do with my mother-in-law? I have to say, I am blessed with an incredible mother-in-law. But can you imagine coming to a daily dose and the minister says, I cannot stand my mother-in-law? We would never do that, right? But truly, I am quite blessed in the area of in-laws. In fact, I was friends with my mother-in-law before I was friends with my now wife. It is possible even that she saw Britta and I together before we even did. But I digress. So what do I do with my mother-in-law? And most importantly, what does the Bible have to say about my relationship with my in-laws? There's a story in the book of Ruth about Naomi and her husband Elimelech. They lived in Bethlehem with their two sons. A famine hit Bethlehem, so they moved their family to Moab. Elimelech died and left Naomi and her two sons to fend for themselves in this strange and unknown land. Luckily, the two sons married Moabite women. Now, it is important for us to get some context of the story before we get into it any further. Bethlehem and Moab are about 1,900 miles apart. So from Alexandria to Miami, or Alexandria to Durango, Mexico, or Alexandria to San Diego. But get this, they'd have to travel on foot or by donkey. The airplane technology of this 1300 BC era was a little weak. And yeah, when I went to San Diego, it wasn't like a crazy change in people, but they lived a lot differently than I do. And I imagine that in the winter, they really have a different lifestyle than we do here. But Bethlehem to Moab isn't just a change in lifestyle. It's also culture and language and food, values, ideas, also the gods that they served, the beliefs they held, and I'm sure there were some moral differences and all kinds of things that could act as barriers between them. And I get it. Love is love. If you are like me, I fell in love with my wife, and the barriers did not matter at all. But this story moves on, and both of Naomi's sons died as well. Naomi felt cursed and alone, and without the safety net of her husband and her sons in this strange, far-off place. She decided to move back to her family's origin in Judah. She told her two daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, to go back to where they came from. You no longer have any connection with me. You can remarry and be provided for and loved, whereas it is too late for me, Naomi. So again, all of these differences, all these barriers are easy to work through when it is the person that you love. But when it is that husband's, wife's, partner's, mom, and vice versa, it can feel a lot different. So Naomi tells them to go back to their homes and start a new life. They cry and Orpah leaves. But get this, Ruth tells Naomi, I will not leave your side. I will go where you go. I will live in a strange country that I don't know. I will worship your God. I will be in your family. Now that is called loyalty. In my shoes, it would be difficult to leave Calvary, leave Alexandria to live in Hawley, Minnesota, and that's only an hour-and-a-half drive. Can you imagine going to the middle of Mexico by foot, leaving everyone and everything that you know and believe to stay with your mother-in-law? I don't think so. But I think that this passage has a lot to say for us. When you get married or in a serious relationship, both of us come with families and histories and stories and opinions and, quite honestly, baggage. There is no such thing as a perfect marriage, a perfect family, a perfect life. We have all kinds of things to unpack together. And when you get married, you take on your partner's family as well. For me, I also married my wife's kids and have loved and raised them as my own. And it can get so messy. But we are called to love and serve each other as God has first loved and served us. And when you think of your in-laws, they created this human that you love so dearly. Mine raised a beautiful, kind, caring, loyal daughter. So they couldn't have done everything wrong. I continue to learn and relearn that when those barriers are presented between you and your partners and your families and your friends, that we are called to lean into that rather than to move away. Just look at Ruth and Naomi. Ruth had every reason in the world to walk away from Naomi. Her husband died, removing that connection. Naomi herself called herself cursed. I don't want to be around any cursed people. And Naomi told her to go, leave, go where your family is. I remove any obligation and guilt. You can have a clean slate and start over. Your life can be removed of me and this family. I give you my blessing. Just go. Yet, Ruth leaned into the mess and the chaos. Ruth chose to love like God calls us to love. And I think that is an incredible lesson for us to learn, to lean in and to love. And that feels really exciting to me. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you'll stay tuned in for the week of awkward families in the Bible on Facebook, on YouTube, Cable Access TV, and www.calvaryalec.org. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless.